This video is going to be a film study look at a very unique and particular possession that the Detroit Lions were able to score a touchdown on in their 34-17 win over the Bears on Sunday. This is their fifth possession after Chicago has finally got on the board. Short touchdown pass from Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet. Detroit goes into this rather unique and I think remarkable mode or focus. Jahmyr Gibbs is heavily featured on this drive. There's two run concepts that are very unique, if you ask me, and a pass play that I just marvel at the levels or the layers of design that had to go into it and how it relates to other play concepts. I'm hoping to this week at some point do a couple of videos on two of the plays in this film study that I'm showing you here and relate them to very similar looking concepts that result in drastically different plays. Essentially, Ben Johnson has a play to threaten inside, outside, to either direction, right or left, as well as a play action concept off of those foundational run plays for pretty much everything that they do. Another element that I think has to be mentioned in this film study look is the pace at which Jared Goff is snapping the ball. And I'm not necessarily talking about his cadence. What I mean is Jared Goff getting to the line and deciding to snap the ball quickly and or getting to the line and going through some type of checks. Now, this one has been used before. I think at least 3 times this year I have this one on film whereby you're getting post-snap look like a reverse. Here's to Jameson Williams. Number one. Number two, the tight end running out in the flats. So two guys vacating at the point of attack. And when I say point of attack, what I mean is it's a fake handoff to Jahmyr Gibbs, fake reverse to Jameson Williams. And you can see Laporta's actually blocking the edge defender. Keep this in mind for a little bit later. And they've set up Jahmyr Gibbs to the boundary. Now, he does eventually run out of room here. It's not like it's a huge gain. It's only a 6-yard gain. Chicago's got an athletic defense. They got some good players on that side of the ball, even though they've given up, I think, 102 points in their last 3 games. Goff is changing the timing of the snap. This is a quick snap, basically no count. And you've got the fake handoff, then the fake reverse where he actually shows the ball. Look at all the Chicago defenders trying to figure out what's happening. Is Jameson Williams getting the ball? Is Goff going to keep it? Do I need to get out in coverage? So the timing here, pre-snap and once the ball is put into play, I think just plays into giving Detroit as many advantages as possible. As an aside, Christian Mahogany I thought played extremely well. I'm not sure that I'll be able to have time this week, obviously because of the Christmas holiday, to get a video out on him, but I will focus on a couple of things he does in this video from the end zone angle. There's a 6-yard gain, creates a 2nd and 4, 11 personnel, so they send Laporta in at fullback. So keep in mind, on the very last play, Williams ran the reverse path. Laporta's feet were about in this direction. He ran across the heels of the offensive line, ended up blocking the defensive end, but we know there's a hide concept whereby a tight end slides out into the flats, quarterback keeps it, flips it out to him for an easy gain. So check out what they do on the very next play. Put Laporta in at fullback, run him out into the flats. Williams behind him. So again, vacating 2 players at the point of attack, 2 consecutive plays in a row in the form of Laporta and Jameson Williams running across the heels of the offensive line. I would call this a hide concept. I don't know what the heck you call this other than bait, trying to hold people at the second level, and it seems to have worked. Look at this almost stacked nature of the 2 inside linebackers. That's 2 good football players between Edwards and I think Edmonds. 9-yard gain for Gibbs. The design here to me is just exquisite. That's your 2 in. There's a pair of good inside linebackers, in my opinion. I know things have not worked out for them here recently, but what do you do when you've got the fullback / tight end going opposite of all the offensive linemen, and then you've got Jameson Williams flashing across your vision? Gibbs takes it front side. Mahogany is there to help close off against the inside linebacker. Like I said, it's a 9-yard gain. 3 plays on this drive, even though it's probably a boring drive for some because it's really running back centric. It's fun to watch, if you ask me, because of the variability of the concepts that Ben Johnson was willing to use. That, of course, sets up another 1st and 10. And here it's 12 personnel, so you've got Laporta and another tight end up to the top side of the screen. Pro Twins under center is what I would call it. And it's another play action, this in case it's check down to Gibbs. Really focused on getting the running backs to football. It's a zone concept from a coverage standpoint for the Bears, dropping a defensive end out. He's not really getting any depth, but watch how Gibbs treats him once he catches the football. He realizes I can just run underneath. I can give ground, go backwards, and I'm still going to be able to get, I think he got 11 yards on the play. Same play from the end zone angle. Notice, and this is actually twice that I've noticed this in the first half, where Chicago's lined up with what I'd call a 2-gap bubble, and only one player, in this case 53, Edwards, who theoretically could be responsible for this. So no one responsible for the gap inside of the tight end. Quick throw. I think Goff knew it was zone, and I think he knew where he was going with the football. He just seems so decisive, so in control of everything. Like I said, it's an 11-yard gain on a really innocuous pass underneath of the zone coverage. Very next snap, go 13 personnel, so changing personnel groups constantly to give the defense not just different looks, but different questions that they have to try to answer. Is pro wing, so pro to the top side, and another play action, in this case, complete to the running back. Now it's Jefferson for 10 yards. I misidentified him in a video that I put out last night or yesterday on Jameson Williams. My apologies for that. Jefferson looked good here. Granted, he's catching the ball out in the flats, and you have two defenders here who are almost stacked up on top of one another, so it's rather easy for Jefferson to catch the ball. Goff also puts it right on him such that he can turn and go. He doesn't have to really regather his feet at all. Just a quick catch of the football, turn and go. And I think he gets 10 yards, excuse me. There's another element to a lot of the things that Ben Johnson does, and I'm not sure I'll be able to get to the totality of it. So there's what I would call install plays. And what I mean is plays that are run earlier in a drive and at a critical moment down in the red zone inside the 5, Ben Johnson will have a player or multiple players give the same look post-snap, but have it be a different play concept. Now I may be reading too much into it. Here is a play fake to the running back. Zeitler, the right guard, is pulling. And later on, you're going to get pretty much the exact same setup from Zeitler pulling and how the running back steps on a different, entirely different play concept. Again, an install, if you ask me. Think of the stumble bum play later on in the game. The two tight ends that were on the field did the exact same thing that occurs here. Lined up on the left, traded over to the right. When I say install, I mean conditioning the defense to think that a particular movement is not that important or not something they have to pay attention to. In this case, it's Trey Wing under center down here to the bottom side of the screen. So Trey, two tight ends, and then a third receiver in the form of Amon-Ra St. Brown, all on the same side to the field. Run concept to Gibbs, cuts it downhill, ends up getting 4 yards when it really looked like nothing, if you ask me. Goff slowed the pace down a lot on this snap. It's got to be a pain defensively to deal with. It's a pain to deal with actual huddle, in some levels now. People don't like to see it. It's also, on the other side of the coin, a pain to deal with absolute no huddle, those jerks that are trying to get to run a football play every 12 to 14 seconds and really putting pressure on your defense that way. Goff and the Lions kind of like did a little bit of both on this drive. Possibly a hold here by Ragnow, excuse me. Sewell has cut off this D tackle. Zeitler worked up to Edmonds quickly. And that is really the key block that essentially gives Gibbs an escape path to, like I said, only get 4 or perhaps 5 yards. Very next play, I guess it was 4 because I got this one labeled as 2nd and 6. It's 11 personnel, trips. So trips is the 3 receivers down here, and then Gibbs lined up on the same side as the trips. Really cool run concept here that I enjoy to see. Gibbs is first of all Goff is first of all kind of faking something out here to the flats, and at this point, I know enough about Ben Johnson and the way he calls plays, or I feel like I can recognize it that like nothing is innocuous. There's always another element to a play, and this is one that looks like you could see him keeping the football if this defensive end was to run down the field, and then actually throwing it out to the flat. So it's very likely that you've got two plays here. One, the screen down to this side, and two, the give to Gibbs. Guess what? The Philadelphia Eagles run the same exact play, except they don't do it with the running back. They do it with Jalen Hurts. So I'll get to the end zone angle, and I'll kind of annotate what I'm talking about. I would call this center log. The Eagles run it with Jalen Hurts, and what they'll do is they'll motion the running back out of the backfield, and it could be a screen out there to that running back, to the four receiver side. Or Hurts will keep it, and you get the down block, and then the center wrapping to the boundary side inside linebacker. So when he'll do this is when the field side inside linebacker matches that aforementioned motion by the running back. That's not what we get here. It's almost in reverse. He wants to give the ball to Gibbs unless that outside linebacker follows or trails. The center log block isn't necessarily executed perfectly. I mean, Mahogany gets down here on this guy, but Ragnow just can't get to Edwards. Second time in the game when I saw something like this happen, guy just dips underneath of him, and I think Gibbs knows like that could have been an opportunity, especially with Zeitler riding Edmonds out of here. That could have been an opportunity to hit a seam here if Ragnow was actually able to handle Edwards. Unfortunately, he was not. Sets up a 3rd and 3 out of 11 personnel. Pretty much same guys on the field, different formation, twin slot A. So now Laporta and Gibbs are on the same side. And it's a 2-yard run for Gibbs. Sets up a 4th down. They're going to get the 1st down when Goff draws the defense off sides. But there's something I want to point out here. And I actually shared this in our Ravens Discord because we're jealous that you have a rookie first-time starter who can do something like this upon command. Before we get to that, Laporta and Jameson Williams are unable to handle the D end to the safety combo. They actually kind of mess it up together, but watch what Mahogany does here. Combos the D tackle to the linebacker, Edwards, to basically give Gibbs a chance. Laporta and Williams are unable to handle that D end and safety combo. Really disrupts everything at the point of attack. You'd like to think that when you get a job done like this, that Mahogany did, super athletic. Like I said, I shared that play in our Ravens Discord. Like, look what we could have drafted. We didn't feel like picking a running back and quarterback that were never going to get on the field for us. And you guys, the Lions, have him as a backup who can start upon command. A super athletic guy, very impressive if you ask me, throughout the entirety of the Bears game on Sunday. That creates a 4th and 1, and Goff has a handle, just coming up, drawing them off sides. Whatever he was doing throughout the entirety of the drive from a cadence standpoint, I think just set this up perfectly. It almost makes me wonder if Ben Johnson doesn't like reverse engineer some of his drives. And so what I mean is have some kind of way on his call sheet or whatever the computer that someone is looking at, whereby he's like, okay, what have we run so far in this drive? What's been established from a cadence standpoint? What's been established from a post-snap motion, a pulling guard, a tight end running across the heels of the offensive lineman? What's been established? And therefore, what can we use in a high-leverage situation? Because, and I know that probably sounds ridiculous. He probably doesn't do it that way. It's just it's a place my mind has gone trying to figure out the brilliance that is Ben Johnson's offense. Speaking of, this is a play that I covered in my Jameson Williams video on Monday. It's a 14-yard gain on a very unique play design out of 11 personnel. So it's pro twins, and it all starts with Gibbs or the running back Jefferson, in this case, on a direct path, angled path, such that they're either going to get the football or it's play action. And that's the case here. It's play action. So you've got the established or the foundational aspect of the running back going in one direction, and lo and behold, the same exact player, Jameson Williams, running across underneath the same way he did twice earlier on the same possession. Additional to that, the tackle has got a lock call onto the DN, so he stayed stuck or attached to him. Easy completion out into the flats. Why does it occur? Why is Jameson Williams able to get so wide open? Gordon here has got a lot going on from a visual standpoint. Goff and Jefferson are going to mesh somewhere where those two lines would intersect. Number one. Number two, Sewell is going to step to the D end, and St. Brown is going to slide into the B gap. And theoretically, he could go get the backside inside linebacker, in this case Edmonds, or he could go get the nickel safety, Kyler Gordon, who's walked up. Now, I think Edmonds has some awareness of that possibility, what I just described. So on the flow, and you got this lock by the backside tackle. Oftentimes, if it is a zone concept, everybody's going to work this way. You won't get a lock call, so that D end is not. He's unblocked. He's left free. In this case, Sewell steps to him. St. Brown inserts into a really wide open B gap lane, and Edmonds is gone. I think he's gone because he recognizes this attached alignment by St. Brown, and any run flow away from me. If I get an open window, I'm gone. So this would be considered an open window. Because he's out of there, Kyler Gordon is really isolated. He's got two threats to deal with. He's got St. Brown kind of sitting down as a late option for Jared Goff to throw the football. But we know, I think, at least the design of this is such to get the ball to Jameson Williams out in the flat. 14-yard gain. Super brilliant design, if you ask me. It looks very simple. I probably didn't do it justice, explaining all the factors to it, but one of my favorite plays to watch from this game for real. Couple of short runs by Gibbs where you have to give credit to the Bears defense for stopping him and holding him down. After that 14-yard gain to Jameson Williams, Gibbs gets stacked up once and then twice. Now, I actually really do enjoy this run concept. I'm not sure how they can block it against this particular front, but let's establish something. Gibbs ends up running the ball here to the offense's right. There's going to be a lot going on here and with the fullback to try to unpack or gather. And maybe you don't find it as interesting as I do. I'm a person who, when I coach these guys at inside linebacker, we would read whatever worked for us in a given week. So if you're unfamiliar, some people are like, I'm going to read the guards. That's all we're going to read and nothing else. That's going to be our primary key. Some people, Ray Lewis is one of them, in fact, is like, I'm going to read the backs. And I actually heard him say that in person. Now that you got some line keys to confirm high beam, low beam type of perspective that makes it a little bit more complicated than I'm presenting. But watch what happens here and then here with the guard. They're making this look like post-snap. It's going in this direction. Laporta stepped here initially. The guard, Zeitler, is pulling. Counter step by Gibbs is bringing it back in this direction. I'll give you the end zone angle. It's a very intricate play. Unfortunately, Mahogany can't handle 96 on the backside. I'm really not sure how they're going to make this work, but I'm interested in seeing Ben Johnson run it more often and how they can handle fronts where they have a one technique backside that they're zoning. So it's a gap scheme. It's a gap scheme, so perhaps I shouldn't say a zone. But watch how these two handle that defensive tackle. They try to get Mahogany to take him over. Maybe there's not enough of a punch here by Ragnow, but he's trying to get up to Edmonds. He's trying to close off Edmonds because where's the run play going? It's going here. Laporta is also leading. So it's designed to go to the offense's right or left on the screen. Ragnow's got to close off the Mike linebacker. I just feel like it's possible that Ragnow needed to be a little bit more heavy with his combo here, recognizing the fact that this pulling guard is going to force or cause or influence, whatever word you want to use, Edmonds to step in that direction. So even though his initial step might be heavy to combo the outer half of this D-tackle, he would be able to redirect and get up to Edmonds and still close him off like he did. I guess what I'm saying is he was lighter on the combo on the outside shoulder. Mahogany, therefore, couldn't take over that defensive tackle. As such, it allowed Ragnow to get out there, and there's just more space there than there needs to be. We'd be okay with his feet somewhere in that direction. As a result of the light combo, 96 is able to close down from the backside. There's just no way for Mahogany to do what he's being asked to do there, in my opinion, absent some help from Ragnow on an actual combo. You also got issue over here to the front side. No real kick out block. It's still an intricately designed play. I really like anything that involves a fullback stepping in one direction and then coming back across the midline like Laporta did, and then a pulling guard to accentuate it or kind of complement it, I guess. That leads to a 3rd and goal. This is a touchdown to St. Brown. I guess you could say that they're done working on new concepts, and Ben Johnson and the Lions are finished playing with their food at this point, because they throw a screen out here. Not really a great block by anyone at the point of attack from a receiver standpoint, but Patrick is dealing with Gordon, who's on a blitz. Also have to give credit for Ragnow and Mahogany in getting out there in front. It's like Bulls on parade. So we're talking about Mahogany, who's going to seal, or try to seal, and then Ragnow, who actually is going to seal somewhere around the 4-yard line, I think. And St. Brown, the timing of it is messed up because of Kyler Gordon's attempted blitz. As an aside, it's 3rd and goal, and look, you've got this overload jet away from the 3-receiver side into the boundary, our left, the Lions right, but we know this play goes in the other direction. Something to be said there for being a little bit more balanced in your alignment pre-snap, because check out how it appears once St. Brown catches the ball. Since all of those D linemen were lined up to this side, essentially away from the point of attack, the Bears functionally ended up putting themselves in worse position to defend that empty screen. That one puts them up 27-7. Look, I know that the Bears actually did come back and score with, I think it was 58 seconds left when they got the ball. So quite disappointing, if you ask me, from a defensive standpoint for the Lions. I thought this was an interesting possession, even though it was very... I recognize there were certain people who would say it was bland. They were only getting the ball to the running backs. I think there's some creative stuff in here. I tried to explain it to you as best I could, the limits of my understanding, particularly that last run concept. I would say it could be solved or mitigated if Ragnow combos a little bit heavier on that D tackle, such that Mahogany can take him over. He can take that D tackle over, close him off, reach him, whatever you want to call it. In any case, if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. If you're unaware, likes, comments always drive the engagement. So if you would like to see this video pushed out to a larger audience, which essentially generates more revenue for us as content creators, then please consider liking the video and commenting down below once the video completes its premiere. Finally, if you think other Lions fans would enjoy this content, my commentary, and the plays that I use to illustrate what I think Ben Johnson and the Lions were working on, trying to get some film of, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.